So guys, Voiceless Voice is going to be coming out in the TCG. This deck is going to have huge potential, so I think you need to learn how to play against it, and this is my list for it. So to start off with, we have Novox, the Voiceless Voice Disciple. I don't know what the exact name will be. We know it's going to be Voiceless Voice, but we don't know what the exact name of this card is. But so to start off with this card, when you want to ritual summon your dragons or light warrior ritual monsters, this card can be used as the entire tribute. So it's basically Shurret, which is really good. However, this card has more effects, which just makes it way more cracked. The first being that if you special summon a light warrior or dragon ritual, and that's very important because it's just a special summon, it doesn't have to be ritual summoned, and this card is in your grave, it summons itself back out. That effect is absolutely amazing because it means that also if you tribute this to summon one of your ritual monsters, this is going to bring itself back out. And then on normal or special summon, this card puts a Voiceless Voice spell or trap, continuous spell or trap face up in your spell and trap zone, and their continuous spells and traps are very good. This has 3 very strong ones so far. So yeah, this card absolutely amazing. Play at 3, it's the best card in your deck. It's what everything else centers around. You play Diviner at 3 as well, because Diviner is just 3 more copies of this card, and you just want to see this. Yes, it is a bit overkill having 6 normal summons, but this card is that good. You just need to see it every single hand. So you play the 3 Divine and the Trias. Divine is a little bit it gives a little bit more advantage, because when you do this effect of Diviner, the advantage of that is that you get a Trias on board as well as extra ritual fodder if you need it. However, the disadvantage of Divine obviously is that if your Diviner gets stopped, it's a bit painful. Now you can play Sora Vase at 3. I'm only playing it at 2 because it's a bit of a break, but you could play it at 3 to protect your Diviner, but I don't think it's worth it. I think just play both of these at 3. If you get stopped, you get stopped. This deck does have quite a bit of room for non-engine as well. We then have Saphira. We play this at 3 as well. This card is absolutely crazy. This card, discard this, Foolish a ritual spell, and your ritual spell is very good. And what you have to remember is this Foolish is any ritual spell, so there's probably a little bit of potential there. But then you can add a light warrior or dragon ritual from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Very good, recursion, everything. And then banish this to ritual summon it. I mean, yeah, this card is very good. It's a half of a ritual summon just by itself, which is absolutely amazing. Very good card, Saphira. You want to max out on this as well. And then we look at the spells and traps, and I just realized I have these backwards, but you actually want to play Barrier at 3, not the other one. And it's funny because before the newer support was announced, the spells and trap lineup was very good, but the main thing this deck struggled with is not having a way to recur banished resources, because it does banish a lot of resources. Like you had to play multiple of the ritual spell just because you didn't want to ever use its graveyard effect, otherwise it would get banished and you're screwed. Oh, now they have a way around it. So we start off with Barrier. Barrier, while you control Novox and a light ritual monster, your opponent can only target ritual monsters for attacks, and they can't target light monsters with card effects. That effect is amazing. There's so much targeting right now. And then also it searches a Silent Force or Skull Guardian ritual monster from your deck to your hand. Very good effect. This card's amazing. You need to max out on it. You want to see it every single hand. Blessing has the effect of targeting a banished Silent Force card or one in your grave and adding it to your hand. That effect is very good because the ritual spell actually has an effect when it's banished. Then on top of that, if a non-ritual monster is normal or special summoned, you can ritual summon. This effect is so good, and also that can't be destroyed by battle. That effect gives you so much acceleration on your opponent's turn. It allows you to get so much tempo, because normally the disadvantage of most ritual spells and ritual decks is they can't actually do much on your opponent's turn. Ritual decks tend to be more floodgatey, but this one is not like that. It plays fast, it plays aggressive on your opponent's turn. Very good effect. And then the trap. The trap is also incredibly good, and again, what's very nice is that you can actually add the trap back. So the problem before is you never want to use the pop effect of the trap because you can't get it back. Well, now you can get it back. So what does the trap do? Well, shuffle a light warrior or dragon ritual or one ritual spell from your hand or graveyard into the deck, special summon or add a Silent Force monster. That effect is absolutely amazing, and a lot of times it's going to be face up on your field because of this. So this is a very good effect, giving you loads of recycling. Then the second effect, target cards your opponent controls up to the number of light warrior and dragon ritual monsters you control, destroy both of them in this card. Yeah, you play this at 1, but this card is absolutely amazing. Lots of removal. I mean, look, you keep hearing me say amazing. This deck has so many good cards. And then you have the ritual spell, which is a very good ritual spell. So it's standard ritual spell, ritual any light monster, which is quite nice. However, where this really comes into its own is the fact that if a face-up light ritual monster leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, you can banish this to special summon Sora Vase, Saphira, or Skull Guardian from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. This is such a good effect because Sora Vase is a very good card. It's basically like a Judgment-ish esque of card, and Novox is also Skull Guardian. Sorry, is also very good if you have Novox on the board already. So this card is very good. I like it at 2 just because even though it is very easily recyclable, you want to make sure your pre-prep and prep are always live, which is another thing, by the way. The thing that makes this deck so good is you recycle your spells very often, and that means your pre-prep and prep are always live. So you always have these cards that are just generating +2s, +1s. But yeah, the first reason I play 2 is because obviously I want the ability to continuously use that graveyard effect, and also because sometimes you do want to ritual summon multiple times. Like you want to ritual summon, shuffle back, ritual summon, shuffle back, and so it's just nice to have a copy in your hand. Sometimes it's very, very nice. Now, next up, we do play one of Swordbase, the Sagely Silent Force Dragon. This card is weird because you kind of want to play it at more than 1, but its condition for summoning is a little bit annoying sometimes. And so for now, I've got him at 1, but he's a good card. So essentially, he shuffles spells back from your grave, any kind of spells, which is another very nice thing. And then when your opponent activates card or effects, you can special summon 1 Light Warrior or Dragon Ritual monster from your hand or deck, shuffle it into the deck during the end phase next turn. This effect is very strong because you can do things like summon Swordbase, then Swordbase is going to ban it. So this summons, bounces itself to hand, summons Swordbase bounces itself to hand, and then now you've negated your opponent's effect and you've put 2 cards in your hand. This card is very, very good and very easy to recycle, but I still think you only play it at 1. So now I've gone with 3 pre-prep and 3 prep just because they're both very good cards in this deck. Prep is better after you've used your ritual spell most of the time, but you still want to play 3 just because it's not 1 per turn. It's a nice card to have. And you've got a very good target in Swordbase to protect your initial plays. And then for hand traps, it's just standard Ash, Veiler, Imperm. Now, I do see myself changing those. I don't think they're actually going to be the best hand traps for this format, but for now, I think they're okay. Now, in terms of extra ritual monsters, the only one that is really good in terms of light dragons or warrior ritual monsters is going to be Odd Eye's Pendulum Graph Dragon. This has 2 great effects. So in the scale, it searches. If this is in this pendulum scale, it searches for a ritual spell in the end phase, which will come up due to its monster effect. And when you ritual summon this card, firstly, every time your opponent special summons from the extra deck, they get burned. Nice little burn. We always like burns. That's how we win in time. But then also, if your opponent activates a spell card or effect, which is very nice, it's or effects, not just activating spell cards, you can place this in the pendulum zone and negate that effect. And then if you did that, you can special summon an Odd Eyes card from your extra deck. Now, the problem is there aren't that many good Odd Eyes cards you can summon to the extra deck. Meteor Burst does not work. I put that here to specifically remind you guys that Meteor Burst will miss timing if you try and use that with this effect. Simply because what will happen is your opponent will activate an effect as chain link 1, you will activate this as chain link 2, which means that this will never, this will always make Meteor Burst miss timing, which is a shame. However, a nice alternative to summon is going to be your Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon, just because you can summon Rebellion Dragon and then you can use him to make Rebellion Dragon Overlord, giving it free attack during the battle phase, so you can OTK your opponent very easily. But yeah, this is just a really nice combo. Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon is probably the best card that I would say you can play in this deck. I do have in the side deck Gravity Dragon as well. Post side, you do have a lot of ways to get to Gravity Dragon. You could even play Odd Eyes Advent if you really wanted to, I wouldn't. But you have so many ways to get to this, and this is where kind of playing Herald in the extra deck might be nice. Where you can, right now it's just prep and prosperity, but you could play Herald, for example, and now your Diviner gets this as well. But this will be nice against decks like Labyrinth, decks like Rescue. It's a very good card, and it's also just burns. So yeah, now in the extra deck, why aren't I playing Herald and Entis? And it really comes down to the fact that I have never been playing this deck, normal summon Diviner and not wanting Centrias. Never, it never comes up. If I'm ever summoning Diviner, I always want to Centrias, and then after turn 1, it doesn't matter. So there is room. You could remove the Charmers, you could remove Luster Soldier, you could remove so many things. None of this extra deck is really concrete. This deck plays really freely. You could probably play Extrav if you really wanted to. The extra deck is so free. However, for me, I just don't see the worth in Herald and Elder. They just never have come up for me. So it's not that they're bad. I think play them if you want to, but genuinely, if you're normal summoning Diviner in this deck and it's resolving, you always want to send Trias. Even if you already have a Novox, you just hold the one in your hand for next turn and you always want to send Trias. It's always the best thing to send in this deck. But yeah, guys, this is Silent Force. So I'm going to show you a little bit of a quick hand, just what it can do with a standard Silent Force hand, because this deck does have a lot of potential. So we're going to start off normal summoning of Voiceless Voice Monster. Now, what's nice about this deck as well, I like, is that pretty much all of the cards really synergize with each other well. You're not playing a bunch of bricks to make this deck work. Even Diviner is not really mandatory, it's just nice. But I like it because it means that you have hands like these where you can open multiple hand traps and still be able to play. So I'm going to go Silent Force and Barrier first. Now I have a couple of options, but I think the best thing here to do is going to be getting that Saphira, because this is going to let me ritual summon with the Novox on board. So we're going to Saphira. Saphira is actually going to grab my Skull Guardian. I think that's the name of the card. Hopefully I've got it right. Yeah, Skull Guardian. It's going to grab my Skull Guardian, and then she's going to banish herself to ritual summon. So now, funnily enough, as you can see, I have 3 hand traps, but if I didn't, there's a world where maybe I summon Saphira here, because as you can see, Saphira is going to draw 2 cards. I didn't even talk about this card. This card is going to draw 2 cards and discard 1 card, which is very, very good. And also, if your opponent gets involved in an attack with this card, they have to discard a card from hand. That's quite nice too. But I don't really need that effect right now, so if I get an extra ritual summon, I'll use it, but for now I won't. Now, when this card is summoned, this obviously has the great effect of adding a Silent Force or Warrior or Dragon Ritual from your deck to your hand, and then this card is going to resummon it. So we're going to use him as Chain Link 1 and Chain Block him with Novox as Chain Link 2. Novox is going to resummon herself out, giving this card negating and some extra attack. And then from here you have a couple of different choices. I would say here Saurvase makes the most sense to add probably. Yeah, outside of Saurvase, there's nothing really crazy. You could add, if you wanted to, another Novox for next time. Actually, maybe another Novox. Maybe another Novox for next time makes a little bit more sense, just in case they have this. And look, off 1 card, this is really nice because you've given yourself a negate, you've got the 3 hand traps, and you've got follow-up for next turn. I mean, this is a very, very good board. And it's low commitment. Most ritual decks can't play with a bunch of hand traps like this. So, yeah, really good deck. Guys, this deck has huge, huge potential. I've barely scratched the surface, by the way, so I'm definitely going to have more builds coming out. But, yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you all soon.